It is time for weekend picks here on Lacrosse. Now, Tom, a couple of huge ACC showdowns this weekend. Let's go Notre Dame, Virginia on the men's side. Who you got?
Yeah, not sure what to make about Notre Dame just yet. I haven't really played many, but they're 4-0. Virginia's 6-2. Pat Kavanaugh has 19 assists for Notre Dame this year to go along with 7 goals. Then you look at the Virginia side of things, and they had that kind of funny win against Robert Morris last time out. I actually like Notre Dame. 15-12, best short stick D middies in the country. They've given up fewer goals than anybody else in that part of the field. Just the thing about Virginia is that Virginia, even when they won the national title 2 years ago, they weren't dominant at any point of the year. They're going to drop games. They're going to have weird, close games. That's just the nature of their program. They got hot at the right time in the NCAA tournament. They were the best team. Just because they won it doesn't mean they're going to go dominate a regular season. I think that Notre Dame gets them here at home this time around.
I swear we did not look at these picks before. I also like Notre Dame.
Really?
14-12 is my pick.
Okay.
Here's my thing. You talk about that Robert Morris game for Virginia. They won all but 5 faceoffs, and it was still only a 2-goal game against Robert Morris. And that is not saying anything about Robert Morris, but I mean, if you win all but 5 faceoffs against just about anybody in the country, you should probably win by more than 2. Turnovers have killed Virginia. They're 52nd out of 65 teams with more than 18 turnovers a game. They're almost to 19 per game. Notre Dame takes care of the ball a little bit better. Those extra 3 and 4 possessions are why the Irish win.
And don't forget, Kyle Gallagher, Charles Leonard, really good face-off-wise. So LaSalle is going to have a lot to contend with on that side of the equation, too. Going to be interesting. All right, now we move on. We'll go to Denver. Talked about him earlier in the show. Face-off wins for T.D. Erlin in his debut with the Pioneers, Travis.
Yeah, Denver on the road at Providence. The first time these two teams played, Denver just like unloaded on offense.
Yes.
They put up 20-plus goals on the way to a big win. I'm going to go with 11 face-off wins for T.D. Erlin in this one. I think he takes probably about half of the face-offs. I mean, remember, he's stepping into a face-off unit that is already one of the better ones in the country. Alex Stathakis is up there over 60% so far this year. So I think they split duty, especially with the fact that Erlin's still got to get into game shape. Bill Tierney spoke about that this week in his press conference, saying, hey, we know that TD's got a little work to do in order to get into the game shape that he is used to being in when he was taking every face-off at UAlbany and Yale. So I think he wins like 11 of 15. He takes about half of them. So I go with 11.
I think he goes 12 of 14. So I got the over.
How close are we?
I think these are Price is Right rules, meaning if he goes over, I'm closer than you, which just means I'm the winner.
Edge me out there, yeah.
I'm intrigued, and like you said, I think the fact that Denver's got a face-off unit already established there means TD's not going to take every single one. But I'm also intrigued about the standing neutral grip. I want to see how he does, and I think that could play a factor. I have him losing 2 in my own stats, but maybe that takes him a little bit longer to figure out, and maybe that's why he'll go in and out. Maybe take a look at some after getting the first couple under his belt and seeing from there. RJ Romeo, the guy for Providence, winning about 50% this year over the course of this season.
And there are intricacies with how it's being officiated. Yeah. There's things that TD is going to have to figure out just in terms of getting back into game shape.
Yep.
Let's go to the Big Ten now. A blockbuster matchup between Rutgers and Maryland, like the second time in 3 weeks we get this matchup. First one was terrific for 3 quarters. Who do you have now at the game at Rutgers? Well,
if you recall, we previewed that game beforehand, and I said that Maryland will win the first time, Rutgers will win the second time. I'm sticking to my story. I'm sticking with that because Rutgers, as you mentioned, played with Maryland for 3 quarters, and then they found out maybe what Maryland's all about at the end of that game in the 4th, which is fine. This time, Rutgers is at home. That plays a factor, and Connor Kirsten that game didn't score a goal. Just 2 assists. You have to go back to the beginning of 2020, February 8th. He had scored 9 straight with a goal. He's not going to be held off the scoreboard again. Rutgers made some funky plays in that 4th quarter as well. It wasn't as lopsided as the score. Rutgers gets them back. They got a taste of it, and now they get it done this time around.
Here's the issue. Maryland figured it out in the 4th quarter against Rutgers. They blew them out 8-2 in that final frame. My issue with Rutgers finding a way past Maryland here is the face-off X. They have won just 1 battle at the face-off X all season long. And I think if Rutgers is going to beat Maryland, they got to have a big run. You don't get a big run if you're not winning at the faceoff X because I think the Maryland offense is too talented. They're not going to have a bunch of empty possessions in the middle of this game to allow Rutgers to really take a big lead. And I think that's the only way the Scarlet Knights win at home. So, because of the faceoff X, Justin Shockey's winning just over 50%. He's not going to go lose 5 or 6 in a row. So with that fact, I think Maryland's got too much offensively. I think they win this one. Kind of going away. I think it's a ho-hum easy win, 16-13.
So how many faceoffs does Rutgers need to win?
I think they got to win. I think they got to go up 60%. Yeah, 60, and I just don't. They haven't done it yet this year. They've won one faceoff battle all season long.
I mean, the faceoffs
was against Ohio State, who hasn't really had a faceoff guy all year long.
The faceoffs in the fourth quarter ended up being pretty neutral with 6-5.
I'm just saying,
final frame
but they still lost 8-2 in the fourth quarter. You got to have more possession than Maryland. The offense is too good.
Let's stay with Maryland. Maryland and Northwestern women going at it in Evanston this weekend. Travis, who do you like in that game?
We got 2 games. They play.
Yes, that's right. Sorry.
They finish up with the weekend series, the game on Monday.
Yeah.
I got Northwestern in both of these. I think the Wildcats sweep the Terps. They've got 2 of the top 3 scorers in the country in Izzy Skane and Lauren Gilbert. Both of them are up there 5-6 goals per game. I like Maryland, and I think they're maybe a little bit more talented than people are giving credit for, as they still are kind of figuring some things out as they have new pieces around. But this Wildcats team is really good. I think they are edging toward being that category of Syracuse and North Carolina.
Interesting. I've got Maryland winning both because we learned a couple years ago that until you see Maryland really struggle, until you can't pick against Maryland. I'm not going to make that mistake because they've done what they normally do. They've sort of been underneath the radar. I mean, Hannah Lubecker has 28 goals this year. She was a top 10 recruit coming out of high school. It's not like they have no one coming back. The other X factor, Lizzie Colson, the grad student. This time, she's going to be matched up with Izzy Skane, most likely, if that's how the defense works. Before, in the past, it's been Selena Lasota as the main character in this thing. So I can't wait to see what Lizzie Colson does against Izzy Skane. Colson, one of the top takeaway artists in the country. I like Maryland in both of these.
I got Izzy Skane.
I know, but I think if you shut down Izzy Skane, the rest is history. And I think Lizzie Colson might be able to get her number the first time.
All right, last one here, back at the ACC on the women's side. Notre Dame and Duke, who you got?
16-11 Notre Dame in this one, and I think we haven't seen the best of Notre Dame, though. They battled Syracuse twice. And those games, the second game especially, Notre Dame looked more like Notre Dame despite the fact they lost. Haven't really played a lot of great competition other than that. But I think Notre Dame's depth is going to come out. Andy Aldave has been sort of banged up all year. She's still great in the draw control circle. So she is still an X factor for this team. And their depth is still there, Notre Dame. And I just think that Duke, we haven't really seen enough from them for me to pick them confidently.
I honestly think Duke's a little bit more battle-tested. I don't know why. I couldn't figure out a way to pick this game. But I'm going Blue Devils just on a hunch, 15-14. Just because.
We'll see.
Because why not?
All right. Can't wait. Give me a good weekend.
There you go. Enjoy the weekend.